Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's Theta Talks. My name is Maisha, and I will be joined by a very special person. She is started off as a client, then became a student, and now is a very good friend of mine. So I am very excited to invite Divya Jagtiani to join us. Let me grab her. So our topic, hello. Okay, I
Hello
think
from
we
London.
need a little bit of adjustment. Give me a second.
Sure.
Move a little bit back. Okay, there we go. There we go. From London, you look
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Uh, it is what time there? 11 in the morning?
It is 11 a.m. and it
Yeah.
is
So,
also raining.
oh, really? Okay. So that doesn't
It's all
sound
right.
like London.
Not at all. No, no.
Okay, so I was just introducing you to our audience a little bit. I just said, we started off um, uh, as clients and then student and then now a really good friend. I think I can call you that at
Oh, I
this
feel the
point.
same way too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm very excited to have you on our show, and the reason that we were a little bit off on timing is also to cater time zones. So if you guys see that our Theta Talks is not on the same day, then it's probably because we have a really cool guest being invited. So Divya, let's start. Okay. You
Okay.
were a lawyer when I first
Yes.
met you. And this is really cool because I literally saw everything happen and unfold for you. So it was
Yeah.
really nice.
And you may
So
have been part of this change as well, I will say.
yes. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Okay. So our topic is looks like growth, but feels like burnout, right? So
Mhm.
you started off in coming in with working crazy hours. Do you want to talk a little bit about what was going on in your life?
Yeah, sure. I was a lawyer. I worked in an American law firm, and the hours were pretty horrendous. So I'd start my day at 9:30, and I would finish at around midnight or 1, and
Wow.
this cycle would repeat. And it's pretty normal in corporate law. I was a structured finance lawyer, and this cycle of eat, go to the office, barely sleep, and repeat, it became part of my day to day. And
And
it
how
was a
long have you
struggle.
been doing this? I think in this
So
wasn't your first job, right? This is something that's been
no,
consistent.
I would have been, it would have been about 6 years.
Wow.
6 years. On and off, different locations, different working environments, but fundamentally, stress ruled my life.
Wow.
And I think it was such a difficult, very difficult time period. Because when you're in the thick of working those hours, you start to neglect other parts of your life,
Hmm.
basic things like eating well, showering, going for a walk, exercising. All those choices go out the window.
Right, because you have no choice. Were you
You have no
eating in
time.
front of the computer? Like, was it literally no time for you?
There's no time. And if you're in the middle of a deal closing, what that means is you're going to get about 150 to 200 emails on that day. You can't even leave for like a minute to 3 minutes because if an email
Wow.
comes in and you miss that, you're sort of in trouble.
Wow.
And I know that some of my friends can relate because some are still in the thick of it. But
Hmm.
that was normal. That's what's considered corporate lawyer life.
And so what brought you to realizing or or being aware that this is not normal for other people? Like 6 years is a long time.
It's a long time and it wasn't easy. There was a lot of resistance. It was a
Mm.
very difficult road. Not just exhausting, but also just very difficult in terms of it felt like things weren't going in my favor. So
Mm-hmm.
everything felt extra hard. So jobs were tricky. It was difficult to, navigating that workspace felt difficult. Other things in my life were difficult. It was really like pushing against resistance. And the resistance was also within my body. My body
Mm,
was not cooperating. What brought the change was initially one really heavy round of burnout. And then last year I hit my second round. And it was at the
mm,
second round when it was critical. And I thought, I must stop because we're getting into very unhealthy territory
mm.
because now I am completely out of control with my body and my mind.
Wow. And so, like our topic here is, we think that this is something that everybody should be doing, right? It's like a grind thing. And we
Mm.
mindlessly kind of do this, right? Now, for you, what was your reward of those 6 years? Like, what was that light at the end of the tunnel? Or what was your motivation for you to keep going?
It's interesting you asked that question because when I was thinking about it, it will get better.
Mm,
It will get better. I will feel better. If
mm,
I complete this deal, I will, it will get better. I'll feel better. Or if I stick it out at this job for a year, it will feel better. I'll get better. Or when I qualify and become an associate, I can, delegate my work. It will feel better for me.
mm.
And the shocking part is you blink, 5, 6 years goes by, and it didn't feel better. In
Wow.
fact, I was feeling progressively worse
Mm,
because I was in an environment and through osmosis, I was picking up
mm.
on tendencies that weren't me.
Right.
And I became snappy, I became irritable, I became negative. I was absorbing not only my stress, but the stress of the environment around you. And it's true what they say, the people you surround yourself with, you become. So I
Right.
could see myself evolving into someone who I didn't want to be.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I think that was really jarring because the tipping point for me during the breakout, not breakout, the burnout, which led to a breakthrough,
Mm,
was if I was to hypothetically die tomorrow, would I be happy with who I am or who I was? And the
wow.
answer was a resounding no.
Yeah.
And so when you look past those labels, lawyer, all of the labels that I had collected in
Mm,
my repertoire, I thought, I'm not happy.
mm,
And that's where it prompted a big change. Because if I was to look back on my life, I didn't want that to be my legacy. I
yeah.
didn't want that to feel, I didn't want to be remembered in that way. And I didn't want
Mm,
to feel like that because
yeah.
a label is a label. But if that's not how you authentically define yourself or feel, then it's just a title. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything.
Now, was it difficult for you to move out of this, I mean, you kind of had that awareness, right? But tell me, how was it? The aha moment, the realization, moving out of this. Was it um a one session thing? Like, how did you progress?
That's a good question. It wasn't like a one moment we're gonna
Mhm.
quickly switch. There was a process or a feeling that contributed to it.
All right.
So I started a business.
Mm,
It's called Shanti 3, and it's
mm,
peace of body, peace of mind, peace of spirit. And I had this idea during COVID. So I was working in law, and I was also on the side dipping my toes into entrepreneurship and working on a project. At the time it was a project or a hobby, and the reason was during COVID, in the thick of all of this sort of burnout, I actually have a photo. I'll show you what happened to my skin. So one
mm.
day I woke up and my
Wow.
skin had erupted into what looks like chicken pox.
Mm,
And so I worked tirelessly for a year and I actually healed my skin from this
wow.
to this. So I was already working on ways to make myself feel better.
Mm.
And I was doing this on the side of working. So I was working crazy hours, and then I was doing this as a project. And I was dipping my toes in entrepreneurship. I started putting myself in spaces that were different to law. So I went to a networking event, I went to entrepreneur events. I started to associate myself in spaces which felt like a person I wanted to be.
Right.
And when I was in those spaces, I realized I actually thought I didn't like networking. I didn't like
Mm.
networking in law. I actually really like networking in business. I found it
Right.
really informative. I connected with a lot of people. And then I went on a trip. Last year, I went on a wonderful trip to Bali, and it was like the tip of the spiritual awakening, or everything tipped. And I realized when I went to two different healers, they said if you continue on this trajectory, you are going to have a lot of problems. And I
Right.
think it was finally when I took time to rest and stop and kind of put everything into perspective, I realized that I'm actually choosing this lifestyle, because when I'm not
Right.
changing, I'm choosing. So
Mm.
does that mean I'm making a choice to continue like this?
Yeah.
And if your thoughts create your reality, then I'm actively choosing to feel this way. And
Yeah.
that didn't sit well with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that prompted the beginning of change. And then I finally pulled the plug and said, you know what, we're going to go all in.
Yeah.
We're going to go all in. We're going to give my skincare business, give it a go, and just see what happens.
Mm. Amazing. So this shift, right? You were saying from being a finance lawyer into it,
Mm,
it was kind of like you kind of did have a calling, and I think a part of you realized that, right? Which is why your business is also very aligned spiritually, right? So
mhm.
it wasn't that, I think some part of you already kind of was called to do that. And from what I understand, it was only when you kind of saw it in reality, like the physical, your skin acting up, where it felt like that is, literally in front of you in the mirror, right? So when we talk about burnout, not a lot of people know that they are in a burnout,
Mm.
or they are going through this type of um, emotion or feeling that we can kind of identify as a burnout. So, some things that you mentioned was your body, you weren't taking care of your body, right? Your body was expressing it in terms of your skin, right? Any other things you feel a person can kind of checklist to say, yes, this is a burnout. Oh my gosh, I'm going through a burnout, do you think?
Of course. So there was, in addition to skin, there was a whole myriad of other symptoms. I had a lot of digestive issues.
Mm.
They described it as IBS, but I would say my level of intolerance to certain food groups grew massively. I
Which
had
you didn't
hair
have
loss.
before, like before
No,
that.
I didn't
Oh,
have
wow.
any intolerance before. I had a lot of hair loss,
Mm.
borderline alopecia. I had high stress levels. I developed insomnia. So this is where it gets
Wow.
interesting with the insomnia. When
Mm.
it was really, really stressful, I was actually dreaming about work. I was actively in my mind marking up or drafting prospectuses in my
Mm.
dream. And I
Wow.
would wake up and be like, why is it not done? Because in my
Mm.
dream, I was working.
Right.
And so one time I actually identified a mistake in a document in my sleep. And I woke up the
Wow.
next day and I said, oh, there's a mistake there. And they went, how did you? And I said, it was my dream. I'm
Mm.
dreaming. It's when you can't separate your subconscious from
Reality. Yeah.
working and
Yeah. Yeah.
reality. Symptoms also include change in personality.
Ah, right.
And
You
that's one that's
mentioned that
not
too.
talked enough
Mm-hmm.
about,
Yeah.
because I found myself complaining all the
Mm.
time. I was complaining, I was tired, I was irritable. I'm so grateful to the family and friends that I have, because I always used to say, thank you for putting up with me. That was
Right.
my disclaimer. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for being support, like a support for me,
Mm.
because I wasn't able to function for basic things. So food goes out the window,
Mm,
sleep goes out the window. You don't care for yourself
mm,
anymore.
mm,
And another symptom of burnout, which is not talked about, is you can't just function for basic tasks. You lose
mm.
the ability to do basics. And I don't know if that sounds familiar, but it's past exhaustion. It's not
Right.
just I'm feeling tired, it's that your body is not able to do something which you would normally be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So your
Oh,
mind is tired. Like, for example, when I was really bad, I couldn't read. I was looking
mm,
at text and I was reading the same page 5 times, but there was no processing because I was so past the point of being able to absorb information.
yeah. Oh,
Those were a
those
couple of
those
symptoms.
are really good examples. I'm sure a lot of them are quite relatable to our audience. Now, then you started on this journey to heal yourself, to work on your business, to work on your these emotions, work on undoing a lot of the stuff that you have been doing for the last, how many years on this journey or on this process. I mean, why you can use your example as a reference. What brought you to this place where you felt
Mm.
like robotic, like you just had to do it and there's no other way and just go, 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 go. I think a lot of us get into that cycle and become robots that way and don't realize. And then, like you said, in a blink of an eye, 6 years passed. What was
Mm.
your beliefs, or what was your reason for just kind of getting into that cycle or that loop, do you think?
I felt I was addicted to stress.
Mm.
Even though I moved law firm, the same situations kept happening.
And
And
I
another one,
remember you were very aware the first time, and you're like,
mm,
I'm gonna look for another, law firm that is not going to be, or
isn't
I
US, is
can,
international, better
yeah,
work
yeah,
hours. But I
yes,
actually ended up having the same situation
same.
occur. Um, my beliefs, and I'm happy to share this, was the more I work,
Mm,
the more productive I'll be, and therefore the more successful I'll be. So
mm,
my worth was tied to success.
right.
And there was also this feeling of, I don't have a choice. I've
Mm,
invested so much time,
right.
energy,
Opportunity cost,
studying.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
studying for law schools. I've done
Yeah.
3 sets of exams. I did a law conversion. I did the solicitor course. I
You
did the most recent.
you got something very high uh degree or something. I remember you said that not a lot of people were able to do, right?
I
Or
did. I
get.
was studying and working and
Mm,
doing, I've done
yeah.
3 extra additional sets of exams beyond
Mm,
university. So
wow.
at this point, when you're in the job and you're thinking, oh my God, I have to love it. I
Yeah.
can't have done all this work and I can't have got to this place looking around thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't got a choice. I have to
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
And also another one that I was a personal one that I don't mind mentioning was in law in a corporate environment, you have to be the busiest person in the room.
Mm,
So the person that announces that they're the most busy or they're taking on the most deals gets a lot of attention. Whereas the silent worker who's doing the same amount of work, who isn't necessarily voicing it, they either get more work or they're not looked at. And
right.
so I found it was a personality thing as well, where there's this culture of you need to constantly say you're busy or look busy.
Right.
And if everyone around you in an environment is trying to look as busy as possible, then that becomes the way you think about things.
Mm,
And time is your currency. That's the
yeah.
way lawyers bill their time.
Mm,
So I had started to adopt those principles, not just in work, but in my day-to-day life. And that's when I realized we have a misalignment
Right.
here,
Yeah.
because I'm always in this doing, action oriented, solution oriented. I stopped feeling. I turned off
Mm.
my emotions. I stopped feeling everything.
Right.
And that's when the health stuff cropped up, because every
Yeah.
time something would happen to me, which happens in life emotionally, you can't be emotional in a workspace. You
Yeah.
can't be emotional when you're closing a deal. You haven't got time.
And so all this suppression of
Mm.
emotions, right? It basically showed up in your hair loss, in your skin, right? Because your thoughts create your reality. So not only your physical reality in the body, but also what was happening around you. So a lot of that pertained to that. And you know, I remember, and this is the whole idea of your worth being attached to success, right?
Yeah.
This is something that a lot of people have grown up with. Like it is a very common connection, right? At the end of the day, our parents somehow, you know, expect from us, right? If you get this grade, then you're good enough, right? If
Or
you
you're
get this,
rewarded.
or you're rewarded.
You get a
Absolutely.
reward for what you produce.
Yeah. Or like if you take this particular course, right? So in a lot of areas, our parents didn't really know any better, so it's not about blame, but a lot of it ties in to our upbringing and the way that we were brought up in terms of the reward and worthiness system, right? Especially like you said, the more work you do, the more you're billable, so you can kind of tie it together. That worthiness is tied to the amount you work, the amount of success that you have, or the money that you earn, even. So this is something that I think a lot of our, viewers will relate. Now, if in a theta healing perspective, right, if we don't look at it as in our worth is tied to anything that we do, right? Then some of our, viewers might say, then where is the motivation? So how
Mm.
did you move from my worth is tied to success to continuing your momentum? Because at this point, or you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, and you are really on that last leg of your book that you have written,
Yes. It's
right?
coming out. Very excited.
So how would you describe moving from my motivation is I want to feel worthy and I want to feel successful? Like, how did you kind of replace that? Or how did you, because I think a lot of people are thinking, if I'm not motivated by money and success and the accolades, then what? I will not do anything.
Mm. I think for me, it goes down to, what are my values?
Mm,
What is my philosophy and what are my values? So, as part of my business, I created a skincare product.
mm,
And when I was brainstorming, one of my values is skin transparency, right?
right.
And I said, I want to create a product that will help my skin when it broke out,
Mm,
but I also want to help others who have issues. And I
right.
was very clear about skin transparency,
Mm,
and I won an award for it. And I went,
mm,
okay. So when I start focusing on my values
right.
and who I am, that's my motivation, because every
Beautiful.
time I invest in something that makes me feel good, I love helping people. It's a core value of mine.
Mm,
I love being honest, honesty in skincare. I love, making a difference. And the
yeah.
motivation isn't consistent. Let's be
Mm,
honest, right?
mm,
You don't every day wake up and you go, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to feel like this.
mhm,
But what I've learned as well, which maybe feeds into the beliefs, is progress is not perfection.
mm,
Okay. So I am a bit of a perfectionist. And I had to you're
I'm
laughing.
smiling when you're
I know.
saying that.
And I had to rewrite this label of,
Yeah.
okay, we don't need to be a perfectionist.
Hmm.
We need to take little steps.
Yeah.
And the way I would encourage other people, if they're listening, that are interested in making a big lifestyle change, is start with something small. You might
Hmm.
not have the entire vision or trajectory in front of you because you don't in entrepreneurship. It's not like working in a regular job where you have, milestones, or you work X amount of years and you take a senior position. It's just about doing little things.
Hmm.
So every time you can take a little actionable step, you do it. That
Yeah.
little burst of motivation, you do it. You have an idea, you write it down. And slowly, I started to become the person that I wanted to be. It wasn't like you wake up overnight and I'm no
Yeah.
longer a lawyer.
And I think it's also like when you're talking about this, I can feel, right, what you're feeling, right? So
Mhm.
from going from a space where you were numb and not feeling anything and robotic to a space where, oh, wow, this actually feels nice, right? So it's passion, it's love, it's excitement, right? So these are ways that you can be motivated that doesn't need to equate to, a title or label or money or this much in your bank account or this many sales, right? The fact that you're passionate and excited and you love what you do. And like I said, I love helping people and aligned with your values. And I love that because that is a great way. And so, for those of you who are listening, maybe that's something that you can ask yourself: is what I'm doing exciting me? Is it passionate? Is it giving me joy? Is it, helping people? And is it something that I can be excited to do every single day? And so that's moving from a space of up here, right, to moving to your heart, or moving to a space or energy of love, which is beautiful. So you were able to progress, right, from leaving your being a lawyer to your own business and a writer. So how do you think theta healing has contributed to that? I mean, you've talked a little bit about it. So what do you think that it has kind of helped you achieve or do in your journey? You
It's
are a
helped
theta healing
immensely.
practitioner as
Yes.
well, right? And you are
Yeah.
also open to seeing clients. I know that, right?
Yeah. Um, I think we talked about numbing emotions.
Mm,
Once I hit level of burnout, I took 3 to 6 months of rest. There was
mm,
no action in this time. It was observing patterns. What was I feeling when a symptom occurred? So, for example, with digestive issues, it always happened a combination of lack of sleep plus stress. And so every time the same patterns would occur, I started to use theta healing as a tool to identify what is the underlying emotion here. What am
mm,
I not able to digest when it came to
mm,
the stomach?
mm-hmm.
When it came to hair loss, you know, is there a connection? What's going on? How is everything connected?
Right.
And once I started to acknowledge these feelings that I hadn't worked on for those years and before, because it
Mm,
brings up everything, it's
yeah.
not linear, right?
Mm,
Then I started to finally connect again with my body and mind. There was a misalignment, and
mm,
I'm starting to bridge this gap again. We're starting to
mm,
get stronger both in the mind, the body, and the spirit. So, theta healing helps you if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling these kind of similar symptoms or any of it resonates, it's bringing it all together in a way that you start to understand what's going on. And that is knowledge. Once you understand the patterns, then you can work further and get into a space where you're not going to repeat those patterns and you're not going to get into burnout. And I think
Mm,
that is my biggest, if there was a takeaway, it would be
mm,
identify the patterns because this needs to stop. You don't want to
yeah.
be putting your body in dangerous territory where you're moving towards exhaustion. It's not healthy, and you don't need to compromise your health and well being. Use the tools of theta healing, identify what's going on, and then move forward with joy, lightness, feeling purposeful. And that's when you get into your alignment. That's when it all happens.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we're 30 minutes in already. I feel
I know,
like we
good
need
timing.
another episode. So I would love to invite you back when your book comes out so we
Yeah,
can
it'd be
also
so good.
explore some exciting topics from your book. So thank you so much. I think that this has been really enlightening for a lot of people and have resonated. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate uh, you being here. So would you
Thank
like
you for having me.
to say something to end?
Um, Yes, I would actually. It would be if you're feeling a little bit lost or feeling like just out of sorts or that you aren't in alignment with what you want to do, go for a theta healing session. Start to explore it. It may feel scary at first, but change is always positive. And remember, what you're not changing, you're choosing. And I think
Beautiful.
those words really resonates. So if anyone else is looking for a change, just know that you can do it, but start small. Start
Yeah,
taking steps.
beautiful. Thank you so much. I will see
Thank
you soon.
you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you all for listening.